You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Welcome back to RBLR Lightning. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having an excellent day. Hope you had a great Halloween. And my name is Jake Ricker, as always, and I'm here with Matt Gannon, my good friend and co-host. And Matt, we made a trade. We acquired a new partner, bringing it into the lineup. Joining us today is Joe Zammataro. Joe, welcome to the show, my man. How are you doing?
Hello, guys, and RBLR sports fans. Really great to be part of the team and working with you all to do one of my favorite things, discuss hockey and our Tampa Bay Lightning.
That's the best part of it. Matt, how you doing?
I'm great, Jake. I'm really great. I hope everybody had a great Halloween. Happy to have Joe on board. And it was more of a free agent signing or, traded for future considerations. We didn't have to give up, anybody on the roster or anything like that. So we are very, very happy to have you here, Joe. Hopefully you can provide some insightful knowledge. But no, I've been doing really well, Jake. How about yourself? I feel like I always skip over you.
I'm doing
the me show.
I'm doing good. The Lightning are playing pretty well as of late, which we'll get into in a little bit here. So I'm excited. But before we get into all the hockey news, we have a question that we have to ask you, Joe. It's tradition to ask everybody's for their first time on the show, and this is the ultimate question right here. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
What would you eat out of the Stanley Cup if you got a day with the cup? What is the one? It has to be a food, drink. It can be anything. What are you eating out of the Stanley Cup?
I definitely think I'm going to go with Captain Crunch.
Ooh,
it's going to be a big. I mean, there's nothing better than a huge bowl of Captain Crunch. You let it soak just a bit so that the milk gets nice and sweet. And with a bowl that big, I don't think I'd have to go for seconds.
That's true, right? That's always the worst part, right? Having to go for seconds and then the box is empty. You can fill that sucker all the way to the top and have one good serving. That's a good one. I like cereal.
I'm going to counter you for a quick question, though. Do you pour the cereal first or the milk?
So I go cereal first. Yeah, cereal first.
Matt, barbarians here.
It's a great question to ask your friends because you'll find the one weirdo that goes milk first, then he puts in the cereal. I don't understand it. It makes no sense.
You're getting all that splash, you're dumping into the cereal. It might be splashing. No, you go cereal first. That's the only way to do it. That's how one hockey player is going to get exposed one time, right? They're going to win the cup, and then he's going to put a bowl of cereal in there, and someone's going to be taking a video of it, and you're going to see the milk in there first, and Twitter's going to go crazy. Like, what is he doing? We need to trade him right now. I cannot believe we have this guy on our team.
Well, at least we're all on the same page.
Exactly. Matt, what did you say when I asked you that question? Do you remember what your answer was?
I believe I went with poutine. I'm pretty sure.
That's right, poutine.
I remember seeing, I think it was Matthew Joseph or some of the other Quebec players I think there were a few. I know Savard did it as well, and it just looked tremendous. And, I try to get poutine around here. You can't find anything authentic. So it's just, man.
I still haven't tried it, and I need to do it. I know it's at the Lightning games, and I've always wanted to pull the I know it might, like you said, it might not be authentic, down here in Tampa. I don't know, but I've always wanted to try it, and I need to do that.
I recommend it. I highly recommend it.
Listen, it's French fries, gravy, and marshmallows, right? How bad could that be?
Cheese curd.
Cheese curds. Okay, not marshmallows. Oh. And maybe it'd be good with marshmallows. Maybe that could be the American version, right? Throw some marshmallows on top. Anyway, let's jump into some hockey content here. We have a couple of injury updates to start things off with. So the first thing is there was some news on Victor Hedman. He said today that he's going to be a game time decision for this game. And of course, we're recording this on a Tuesday with the game against the Senators coming up here in just a couple hours. So by the time you guys are listening to this, that game will have already taken place. But as of right now, we don't know if he's going to play tonight. As far as I understand it, he is fine. It's just that he was a little more sore, is the way John Cooper put it, and that he's going to be a game time decision. I'll read you the quote here exactly. They tweeted out this. John Cooper said Victor Hedman will be a game time decision, definitely a little bit more sore than we anticipated. And they said, I wouldn't be surprised to see Hayden Fleury draw in tonight. Cooper did say as well that they need to get him into some games. And that was all that they had on that. So I wanted to ask you guys on your opinion on this, because it's been kind of floating around on there. For me, I'm thinking here, if Hedman is not 100%, he should sit. And I definitely like the idea of getting Fleury in there for some game reps, because I really like Hayden Fleury. He's impressed me so far with the limited time that we've seen him. So I think if Hedman's even remotely, like maybe if he's not even 101%, you leave him out and let Hayden Fleury draw in and something like that. But I want to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I'm a little bit mixed on that. I can't remember. I know he missed some time in the San Jose game. I want to say in the first period, he was out for like 5 or so minutes. I couldn't really see anything that, like, I don't know what made him have to leave for a little bit. But when he came back, he looked pretty solid. He's got a goal in that game. But I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it because we are playing a divisional opponent. It's the Ottawa Senators tonight. So that's one thing that I'm kind of factoring in. I mean, this team, they live and die by Victor Hedman. To me, he is still the best defenseman in the league. I might be a little bit of a homer on this one, but at the same time, it's like, if he is not good, you just don't want to further stress a potential injury. So I'm somewhere down the middle. I mean, I know Ottawa in, recent years, they've been a weaker opponent. I'd say, if this was last year or the year before, leave him out, whatever, it might be an easy win. You know how that goes. But nothing's ever an easy win.
You're right, though. They've gotten better.
Absolutely. They've become a lot better. At least, in their forward department, they're scoring and they're getting better defensively. But yeah, I'm somewhere kind of mixed on this one. So I guess I'll have you be the decider here, Joe.
I'm for the rest right now. We're early in the season. You don't want something to be lingering. It's a divisional opponent, but our next 2 games are against a very good Carolina, and that's coming up on Thursday, and then Saturday against Buffalo, who's been doing really well thus far. Give him a game off. I heard that he did practice this morning, which is obviously a good thing to see. And Fleury has played 1 game in like the last 2 weeks here. So it would be good to get him some reps in the spot. Plus it allows Cooper to evaluate some lines if things are going to get mixed up down the stretch, and hopefully build some confidence in Fleury, because you need to make sure you have your depth guys. Like, you don't want your backup goaltender going 2 months between games. Might be a similar situation. So I like the rest. I think that sometimes some of our big guys get leaned on a little bit too much, and it leads to injuries down the stretch. And hopefully this is one of those scenarios where it works out. In worst case, he'll be back on Thursday.
And that's where my head was at a little bit. But Matt, you do make a good point about it is a divisional opponent, and the Lightning are in that spot where they're kind of in the middle of the pack right now with points and all that, and Ottawa is a lot better. So it's a tough call. Honestly, you could go either way with it. But personally, I don't want to see Hedman play this game and then he gets hurt and he's out, 4 weeks. That's the last thing we need. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying, maybe we rest him a little bit. But I'm not a big person. Like, I know the NBA does this resting thing all the time when guys are 100%. I hate that kind of thing. I don't like it when guys sit out of the All-Star game. That drives me crazy. Obviously, it's their choice. They can do whatever they want. But I like when especially if someone goes to pay a ticket and go watch one of their favorite players, and then they're just like, nah, I'm taking a little bit of a break on this one. That drives me crazy. But this is a situation where clearly Hedman is not 100%, and that is one of the most important things is the health of the guys, especially, when you get into the playoffs. Luckily, it is still early in the season, so you're not getting close to that time, but it's an interesting debate. And of course, we'd love to hear from you guys as well. Let us know on Twitter at RBLR Sports or wherever you can find us. Whether it's on YouTube, throw it in the comments, whatever it may be. Let us know if you think Hedman should be playing or if he should take a little bit of a break before we get things going. Matt, you got something?
Did either of you guys see what may have caused it? Is he just sore? Did he take a bad puck or something?
I have no idea. I didn't see anything. I just know that he left the game and then he came back. Nobody said anything, and they never mentioned anything in either of the comments on Twitter.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything where the team's even really acknowledging if it's upper or lower.
Which that's pretty normal for hockey, right? It's just like at minimum you're getting lower body or upper body. That's it. They usually don't say anything.
If I can give you guys some good injury news, both Anthony Cirelli and Zach Bogosian have joined the team in practices. They're still in non-contact jerseys, but at least they're not doing solo skates or duo skates anymore. They're just becoming a little bit more involved. You can see they're getting a little bit closer to returning back to the lineup. Again, no rush with them. I mean, we need Anthony Cirelli. It'd be nice to have Zach Bogosian. No offense, but at least they're getting closer. They're making a timely recovery, but we don't want to rush anything. But they're getting closer.
That was exactly the next topic that I wanted to bring up. So I'm glad you transitioned right to that. And you're right. They are back. They've been skating with the team still in those no contact jerseys. I believe they said that Bogosian is a little ahead of Cirelli, but they're still multiple weeks away. I'll read. Gabby Shirley tweeted out the quote here. I'll read it to you guys from Cooper. They said they're still a ways away. Nothing has changed in our timetable with them. At some point, they have to get practice in. As you can see, physical contact is not something they are afforded to do. I would say Zach is ahead of Tony in the timeline, as we've stated before, but they're still considered weeks away. And remember, we did mention earlier that they were saying, I think it was early December before Cirelli could return, some point in December. So we'll see. They're both, it's good to see that they're back on the ice though and making progress and things are going well. And there's been no setbacks.
It's going to be a really tough decision-making process once both of those guys are healthy, but it's one of those good problems to have enough depth where, you got to make those tough calls as to who's going to end up getting sent, or we're going to have to worry about someone trying to clear waivers. Right now our team's looking pretty deep in terms of defensemen, which is, something that I can't wait for Bogo to come back. Love the guy, but man, it's already been, one of those highlights, I think, of the season thus far, looking to see how well they're playing on the back end.
Yeah, well, as of right now, like, we do have an embarrassment of riches with defensemen. I think, minus Bogo, we are, rostering 8 guys currently, called up right now. So I don't know. It's going to be tough to send someone down or just healthy scratch somebody. I don't think you're going to want, 4 extra guys, just sitting on the bench. As long as we keep Perbix in the lineup, I'll be a happy guy, though.
Well, and then there's the cap space. Don't forget, too. You're going to have to send some people down. So and we talked about this a couple episodes ago. It is weird coming into the season. You thought the defense was going to be the weaker side, yet we have a surplus somehow, which is, as you guys mentioned, a great problem to have. I hate to break it to you, Matt. I think Perbix might be one of the early ones to get sent down. I like him a lot too. I think he's been one of the better defensemen, but just something tells me that these other veteran guys are the ones that are going to stick around. Like, I could see Nick, Bogosian will be in there, but Perbix, maybe Fleury, and maybe Foot as the 3 that go down. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of it can depend on, who starts playing well, who's hot, because Perbix has gotten into multiple games, despite him being one of the younger guys, which is always good to see. But only time will tell with that, and hopefully his streak continues.
And a big factor with that. Oh, sorry, Joe. You can go ahead.
I was going to say the one nice thing about being able to send Perbix down is he is waiver exempt at this point.
That's true.
So definitely a big factor where Calfoot obviously isn't going to be. So you're going to have to see if he would be able to sneak by, and it looks like neither is Fleury. So both of those guys would have to clear waivers, and we might just straight up lose them.
Which is why I could see a trade. We talked about that too. Like, maybe this is more down the road as a trade thing, but I don't think they would send Foot down on waivers and risk him getting claimed, because he's still got potential and a team could want him, and you could put him in a trade package or something like that. So that's another reason you mentioned there, Joe. Probably Nick is probably one of the guys that gets sent down despite him playing so well, is because he's waiver exempt.
And, not only does Cal Foot, not only does he have potential, but he still has value. Again, he can become a good NHL defenseman, but as it's kind of looking right now, like, I like him, but we know the Lightning like to get business done early. We know, they'll make a trade about a week or so ahead of the deadline. That's still a ways out. I think the deadline is early March, I want to say, but we know they like to do tidy business and get it done early. So I'm not that a trade is imminent or anything, but the way people are playing, the way things are shaking out, I think it's becoming more apparent every day.
It definitely does look that way, but we will find out. That is for sure. And we'll, of course, have the coverage right here for you guys as soon as we know more. Let's jump into some game recaps, though. We only have 2 to talk about this time, as the schedule was a little bit lighter, and we did do our show a day later than we normally do. But the first game that we have to talk about here, of course, is the game against the Anaheim Ducks. The Lightning took on the Ducks. That was the day after the Kings game, after suffering that loss. And this one, they won by a final score of 4-2. I like this game. Pretty good, well played by the Bolts overall. Got a little close there when they came back and tied it 2-2. But then the third period, the Lightning came up big. And with Brandon Hagel and Nick Paul both scoring, Paul scoring late in that game to make it 4-2. But Hagel coming up big on the power play to make it 3-2, which is ultimately the game winner. And Matt, Joe, I know you just got here, but Matt, how many times have I said, put Brandon Hagel on the power play? How many times have I said that?
Maybe 100 times each show. But you're right.
I've said it all the time. And they put him on the power play, and he scores on the power play. So I was super excited about that. I won't lie. I may or may not have fallen asleep during this game because it was so late. But it was a great game for the Bolts and a good one to get that win on that West Coast road trip.
Yeah, I thought it was a enjoyable game overall, despite the time difference there. I know as soon as Nick Paul hit that empty net, I saw the puck go in, and I just closed the laptop down. I was like, okay, time for bed. But yeah, it was a gutsy game. It was closer than I'd like to admit. Like, one thing that I have noticed so far this season is against some of these weaker opponent teams, like especially Anaheim, I want to say they're like last in the league right now. These games have not really been very decisive. Like, the Lightning haven't looked bad, but you would expect a little bit more of an offensive push. You wouldn't expect them to be, riding this game extremely close. Same thing with San Jose. Like, they're not great teams. But again, this game, ended up going in our favor. But it was nice seeing Brandon Hagel. Oh, they are last in the league. Even the Yotes are above them. But yeah, I mean, it was much closer than I think any of us would have liked to admit. Again, it's nice seeing Brandon Hagel finally start to develop some chemistry and get some time on the power play, and it pays dividends. I'm happy with the result, but again, I think we could be a decent bit better.
And seeing Hagel get going here beyond just the power play minutes, he's looking great 5-on-5. He's blending right in with those top line guys. He had obviously a great game. And then you mentioned the Nick Paul goal. I love that empty net goal. I looked, it was like a second and a half left in the game. And if you shut your laptop down then you probably missed there was a little bit of a scrum right after it, which basically the Anaheim guy is just getting upset that he's scoring so late. And his attitude is, well, then stop me, which is exactly what we need to close out games, have that killer instinct where you don't let your foot off their throat and you make sure that you win the game that you have at hand. Consequences go out the window in terms of paying the price for putting that empty net goal in. And that's the killer instinct that the team needs in order to close out those sort of games that are tight like that.
100% right.
I remember seeing the replay the day after I was watching, the highlight pack or whatever. And it was Trevor Zegras was like involved in there and was kind of like not bowing up to Nick Paul, but like, he was asserting himself. And I'm like, brother, that you're barking up the wrong tree there. I mean, Nick Paul, he's a beautiful man. I love him, but he will eat you alive.
He's a tough guy. He's no one to mess around with, that's for sure. Which is why we love him and why he's got that nickname, Nick Paul Can Do It All, right? Because he really can. He can score, he can play tough, he can skate fast, and he's been playing really well as of late. But a good win for the Lightning to pick up 2 points there, especially after losing to the Anaheim Ducks as well. That was a tough one. Also, we have to mention too Brian Elliott, who I think was again very good in this game. We talked about this before, but I love Brian Elliott. I think that's one of the best signings the Lightning have made in free agency, in my personal opinion. Because we've had some good backup goaltenders, but Elliott has done a fantastic job filling in. He's played really, really well. He gives the Bolts a chance to win every single night, and I've really been impressed with his play. He did it again against Anaheim.
He's the best backup goaltender we've had since a guy named Vasilevsky. I mean,
It's crazy to say he was a backup.
No disrespect to Louis Domingue and Curtis McElhaney and even Peter Budaj in there. But, I mean, yeah, Brian Elliott, you could see last year there was a bit of a curve he had to kind of adjust because he had been a starter for most of his career. I mean, he is also rather old, especially for a goaltender. I want to say he's 38 or something, or maybe even a little bit older. But you could see like his first 3 or 4 games, they weren't great, but they weren't bad by any means. I'm talking last year. And as the season went on, he just got better and better. He got, accustomed to his role as a backup, especially playing behind, Andre Vasilevsky, the best goaltender in the league. Your starts are going to be few and far between, weeks apart at certain times. So, and this year it's honestly, he's kind of picked up where he's left off. Yeah, he did get kind of shelled in that Pittsburgh game, but I'm blaming that on the defense. I don't think he was the issue. But so far, I think you're right, Jake. He has been one of the best free agent signings from this team in the last couple of years, and it's just gone rather underrated. Everything about this team is it's not really underrated anymore, but that signing did just kind of go under the radar a little bit, and it's paid so well for us.
And he also passes the eye test, if you will. You can tell a difference in the team when they're playing in front of them, that they have confidence. They're playing with somebody they know that will keep them in a game, where you would see at times some of the other backup goalies that we've had, the team tends to get a little bit off their game and start to struggle when a couple of the easier or more savable goals would go in. The team plays their style with Elliott back there, and that's a huge thing for keeping consistency throughout the those back-to-back games that he's getting in.
That's a great point you bring up, because I remember when Louis Domingue, Andre Vasilevsky, he was injured. I want to say it was the 18-19 season, the season to forget, but the regular season to remember, the playoffs to forget. But Vazzy, he was injured for a couple of weeks, and Louis Domingue won 10 or 11 straight games. And I mean,
I think he still holds the record, doesn't he?
He
for
does.
Wins in a row or something like that.
I think he is tied with Vasilevsky, which is it's nuts. But his stats over that period were not too fancy. Like, he had an over 3 GAA. He had a sub 900 save percentage. I know those are just kind of face value stats, but we were winning those games 7-5 or something, just crazy numbers. But that was when we were just all offense.
We were going out there with shotguns, and everyone else had little cap pistols to play against that team.
Exactly. And going back to your point, Joe, you can tell that they have a little bit of confidence. Like, again, no disrespect to these guys. I mean, Louis Domingue he's a treasure of a person, but you could tell there just wasn't necessarily that trust that was there with Brian Elliott. There is a bit of comfort back there.
Yeah, he's a guy you don't have to hold your breath when a shot comes in.
Right? Yeah, I think you guys are 100%. I think he was stacking the pads in the one game. He may be 37 years old, but he is not afraid to just go out and make a big save. So, Matt, you were close, by the way, 37, 1 year off, but
I'll take it. The younger, the
close.
better.
A great game for the Lightning, though. So let's move on to the next one, where the Lightning took on the San Jose Sharks in their third and final game of the West Coast road trip, and they picked up another 2 points, a final score of 4-3. Another little close game, maybe than you'd like it to be. And by the way, I don't know what you guys think about this, but the Sharks jerseys, I think, look fantastic. I really like them. I know some people don't love them, but I think they look great. But that aside, the Lightning, it was a back-and-forth game. Victor Hedman scored early. The Sharks come back and tie it. Ross Colton takes the lead. The Sharks tie it again. The Lightning take the lead. And guess what? The Sharks tie it again. And then it wasn't until just under a minute to go, it was. And Nikita Kucherov gets one in the back of the net, a nice deflection in front. I believe it was Colton who made the pass on that play to get the ultimate game winner. Actually, I'm sorry, it was Hagel. It was Point and Hagel who made the passes, and it was a fantastic play. They left Kucherov all alone in front of the net, which is, I don't know how you do that. Anyone you don't want to leave in front of the net, it's Nikita Kucherov, but he was there all alone. They got the puck to him, scored that goal to get the win 4-3. And this is one of those where you say you would have liked them to win it, 5-2 or something like that, 4-2. but they got the win. It was a gutsy win, even though it was close. They kept their foot on the gas pedal the whole way through and finished the game strong, and that's the most important part for me.
I want to say, if there's one thing I love with matchups, it's storylines, and this is one that has it with playing the San Jose Sharks, and it's one of my favorite type, which is a friendly rivalry, having Carlson and Hedman playing against each other, and both of them rising to the occasion to showcase their best. Hedman scored his first goal of the season. It was 32 seconds in, and then I think it was just over a minute later, Carlson answers back. Offensively, Carlson won the matchup, and he scored twice in it, and he had with 5 shots on net, but he ended up a -1 on the night. So in the end, Hedman got the better of them. But seeing them play against each other, showcasing two of the best offensive defensemen in the league, I thought it was a great way to watch the game, to see what they do with each other playing across the ice.
And as I'm a big fan of players, especially if I like you. It is impossible to not like Erik Karlsson. I get he's on a pretty, sizable deal. It was honestly worth it at the time, but he's just had the worst luck with injuries. Even last year, he was off to a fantastic start and injured his thumb. I pray it doesn't happen this year. San Jose needs him like no other. And it's great to see. I'm a fan of players, and he was the best defenseman in the league before I'd say Victor Hedman took that torch over. And it's just really nice to see he's back kind of playing to how we all knew. I mean, he's one of the smoothest skaters. He's just got a wicked release. Sucks that he's scoring against my team, but he leads all defensemen in goals right now, I want to say, especially with those two against Tampa. He put himself over the edge, but he's making a strong case for the Norris this year. I mean, I know my theme the last couple of podcasts have been talking highly of the other teams, but and not my own. But again, it was great seeing
Closet Sharks fan over here again.
No, Closet Kings fan. But again, I'm a fan of players, and especially like you were saying, Joe. I mean, the friendly rivalries. I mean, Victor Hedman and Erik Karlsson, they're some of the best friends on, different teams in the league. I mean, I think we all remember, their shenanigans when they had the All-Star game here in Tampa, the two Swedish Pirates. It was beautiful. So, they're both, giving each other a little bit of hell on the bench, and also, trying to outdo each other. And it was just, tremendous storyline throughout the game, even if it isn't, news breaking or nothing like that. It's just a nice little neat storyline.
It gives you a reason to stay up at almost 1 a.m. to close out a West Coast game just to watch that.
Right, I did not fall asleep for that one, so I was watching that one all the way to the end.
Well, that was the 4:30 start.
Oh, that's right, because
Mm-hmm.
they did play at 4:30, which was nice, so we didn't have to suffer through 3 game road trips. Dang it, man! I was trying to make myself look better with that one, and you had to spoil it because the game was at 4:30. No, you are right though. That was an early game, but good for the Bolts to get a win. And hey, anytime you can get 4 out of a possible 6 points on a West Coast road trip, especially with the back-to-back in there as well, no complaints from me. I think the Lightning played well overall, and they're starting to get back into the swing of things. They are now 5-4 as it sits right now. So, a good week at the end of the day. And you guys are 100% right about, Karlsson. He's a fantastic player. And hey, there's nothing wrong with liking other players. Everybody does. Everybody's got their favorite players that people enjoy. But good week for the Lightning. And speaking of a good week, let's break this down in our segment of Bolts of the Week. We have and who we liked for this week. Guys, I'm giving the first one here to Nick Paul because I thought he played really well, but also we have to give him the #1 star just for his costumes that he had on Halloween. He had multiple of them. He was doing all different kinds of stuff. My personal favorite is him dressed up as the parrot, where Thunderbug was the pirate, and then Nick Paul just walks in, says, "Paul, you want a cracker?" and just snags a cracker right out of Thunderbug's hand. It was a hilarious video. Nick Paul, love to see that he's really embracing, that Halloween culture, if you will, having a ton of fun with it. But Nick Paul is my #1 star for Bolts of the Week.
Do not you dare bury the lead with that Goldmember costume. I mean, he won not only the Lightning's Halloween, but the NHL's Halloween. That was nothing short of fantastic.
It looked pretty accurate. And if you haven't checked it out, it's something that should be posted onto you have it posted on the RBLR website right now?
I think it'll be on the graphic that we throw out there at RBLR Sports, so which you can find on Twitter and Instagram as well. So it'll be on either one of those. But I'll go to you guys, Matt. Who do you have for the number 2 bolt of the week?
I'm surprised it took this long for him to get here, but I gotta say, at least 3 or so weeks into the season, Nikita Kucherov, he's impressed me. He's one of those people. He's a quiet worker. I mean, he's leading the team in points right now. But he was just kind of all assist and no back check, just kind of stereotypical lazy Nikita Kucherov, who still produces, but you can tell it's not all there. I want throughout these 3 games, or at least in the Anaheim and San Jose game, I thought he really upped his game. I mean, especially in the Anaheim game, he was back checking, he was forechecking, and then pay checking. I mean, he was doing a lot. He wasn't just the basic stereotypical Nikita Kucherov, just pass it to the opposing team 10 times in a row and then makes one good pass that ends up going in the back of the net off of somebody else's stick. It wasn't that. He was actually playing really good, complete hockey to me. Unfortunately, I didn't catch his Halloween costume. I don't know if he did that or whatever, but strictly talk and play, I think Nikita Kucherov has rose to the occasion so far, that at least this week, and has just, you can tell there's been noticeable improvement and passion in his game again.
And Joe, I'm going to go for you. Who do you have for the 3rd spot for the bolts of the week?
Well, this will be a repeat from last week. I'm going to go with Hagel. I think Brandon Hagel's a pretty safe choice. Over the last 4 games, he has a total of 6 points, but in the previous 2 from this week, he's got 2 assists in San Jose, including that timely game-winning goal that Kucherov scored, and in Anaheim, he got a goal as well. He's really been playing well with the faster pace when he's with Point and Kucherov. Those aren't necessarily easy guys to play with, especially with how much chemistry they have together. And if you know enough about Kucherov, he sends passes that you don't think he can make. So you better be open, you better be ready, and it's coming. And especially with that tic-tac-toe play to end the game where it was Point sending it over to Hagel, right immediately back over to Kucherov. That's a very fast-paced play. I love that he was able to handle it. This is exactly what we were wanting to see out of him when he was traded to the team last year. So he definitely gets the 3rd star for me.
And I'm happy about it because if you guys remember when RBLR joined the Bolt Report, I said Brandon Hagel was going to be a 30-goal scorer. So he's looking good. He's getting into that little rhythm. So I'm hoping that continues. So my prediction doesn't look too crazy. And it actually was a good, crazy prediction there to start things off. But
we're about a 10th of the season in, and he has 3 goals. So he's on pace for it.
There we go. He's on pace for it. I like it. Let's go, Brandon Hagel. But of course,
I was looking to make a waiver wire pickup in fantasy, looking if anybody had Hagel, and I was really bummed to see that Mr. Ricker over here actually drafted him. So that was a great choice, Jake. That really was. You had much more faith in him than I did, so I commend you for that.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that was all skill and just me knowing my hockey analytics. I definitely was just drafting a bunch of Lightning players, but we'll pretend that I knew that was going to happen. But yeah,
you also drafted Eric Chernak.
I did do that. He's no longer on my team, though. I had to let him go.
Oh, you dropped him?
Yeah, I did. I was all right, I have my fun with my Lightning players. Now I need to actually try and get a little smart here and try to win some games. But I did draft a ton. I think I had like 8 or 9 Lightning players on my team.
Yeah, you had like Nikita Kucherov, Ian Cole for some reason. Not at all hating, but I'm hating.
It was fun, though. It was fun to have him on the team. I'm a Lightning fan at heart, man. That's where my mind goes to when I'm thinking of good players. I'm like, who's on the Lightning? That's who I want. We want to hear from you guys though as well. Let us know what you guys think of our bolts of the week. Let us know if we missed anybody. Let us know if you would move some other guys up in some higher spots. Would you put Kucherov at 1? Would you put Hagel at 3? We love to hear any and all thoughts as always. So let us know in the comments on your thoughts on our bolts of the week. Let's go to costumes now, though. I kind of mentioned that with Nick Paul, though, and there were a lot of bolts who were out there, having some fun on Halloween, wearing some costumes. I saw Sergachev posting some stuff on Instagram. He was dressed up. Guys, what costumes did you like from our bolts players here yesterday?
Well, the other one that I got to see, let's see if we have that one. Pull it back up. Yeah, Belmar as Cheese with his wife being Wine. That was one of those classic family pictures that got everybody involved. We already mentioned the one with, or the two with Nick Paul. I'll tell you what, though, with Nick Paul dressing up like the parrot, doing that whole bit, he's such a funny guy. When he laughs, like his whole face lights up. He did that little segment so deadpan that it absolutely was making me crack up. I really like what he was bringing.
That's a good one. Matt, what about you? Do you have a favorite from all the Bolts?
I loved. Oh, okay, so again, Nick Paul, he wins with the gold member outfit. To me, I'm a big Austin Powers fan, so that one has my heart. But honorable mention to Ross Colt and his Guy Fieri. That one was pretty brilliant.
That was a good one.
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in Sergachev because he broke out the Harry Potter outfit. He already had that outfit. I don't know if you guys remember. It was a couple weeks after the Stanley Cup win. He did a little bit of the 2020 win, the bubble year. I don't know. I think it was like not his day with the cup, but it stayed in Tampa. He made a little TikTok or something of him dressed up as Harry Potter, some little skit thing. So I think he just broke out, went deep into the closet and broke that outfit back out. But again, you know what? I'm not going to hate too much. And with the Belmar costume, that one was perfect because he's actually French. He is from Paris. That one is about as fitting as it gets.
And they had Gabby Shirley was hanging out with them while their family was trick-or-treating, as they're doing a recharge episode with, it's recharge or recharge? I think it's recharge, right? Yeah. That episode's coming out in mid-November, they said. So be on the lookout for that. They do a fantastic job with those episodes. So I'm sure that'll be a great one as well. And I love to see that kind of stuff, by the way, too, with, Gabby Shirley was with Victor Hedman earlier this offseason as well. And I love that they're getting to know these players and trying to make that personal connection as well with these episodes. I think that's really cool. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that as well. But by the way, Halloween is over now, but if you're looking for some new merch, dress you up, make sure you head over to shop.rblrsports.com. Again, that's shop.rblrsports.com. The link will also be in the description. We've got some awesome Lightning shirts that you guys can go and pick up. We got a Champa Bay shirt with the 3 cups on it, just the Champa across the the lettering, like the Stadium Series jerseys were, all different kinds of cool stuff. And it's not just Lightning. There's Bucks, Rowdies, Rays, you name it, we've got it. And you can use code BOLTS for 10% off your order. So be sure to head over there, check out the merch, and pick something up for yourself so you can rep the team out there every single day. Next thing we got to go talk about here, guys, is the upcoming schedule. We have a lot of home games coming up here for us in the month of November. Only 3 road games that we have, which is nice to see after being what feels like forever of not being home. With the Lightning kicking things off with a 4-game homestand, taking on the Ottawa Senators, then the Carolina Hurricanes, then the Buffalo Sabres, and then the Edmonton Oilers, and no back-to-backs on this little stretch as well. So, Matt, I'll start with you. What are you looking for the Bolts on this road trip?
So, homestand, I'm sorry.
Homestand, correct.
Yes. Again, I kind of delved into it a little bit in the Victor Hedman, should he play, should he sit conversation, but this Ottawa team is not one to be underestimated. They've got all the firepower of any of the best teams in the league. They've been scoring almost at will. Unfortunately for them, Josh Norris, he was a terrific goal scorer. I think he was close to, if not over 40 goals last year. He will not be playing. I think he's actually going to miss the remainder of the season. So, that's a bummer for Ottawa. Kind of gives the Lightning a little bit of an edge there. And the Carolina Hurricanes, I mean, they are, they're the class of the league. As much as I love the Lightning, I also really do respect and appreciate the Hurricanes. And they've got almost a benchmark team. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league, and they've got great goal scorers like Sebastian Aho, like Andrei Svechnikov. Great pickup by me and my fantasy team. They're a team that you don't really have to underestimate. You have to know what you're up against. I mean, the Lightning, they haven't had too much success against them in the regular season over the last 2 or so years, but, we did kind of handle them in the playoffs, but they're a much different team. They've got much better goaltending this time around as well. So that's just another team you really have to lock it down for. And then the Buffalo Sabres, I mean, don't look now, but they are white hot. They are white hot. I mean, and it's not like they're beating up on low tier opponents, non-playoff opponents. They pretty much swept Western Canada. You've got great teams in the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, and they beat up on those teams.
Did you see the final score of the Red Wings game when they played the Sabres?
Wasn't it like 8-3 or something?
8-3. It was 8-3.
And they had over 50 shots on.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, watch out for Tage Thompson. He is 6'5" worth of scoring machine, and he will hit you. He will make you pay. I love this guy so far. Again, fan of players. He is amazing. I'd love to have him on my team, and he, if you're not careful, he'll make the Lightning pay. So again, I don't mean to stray off a topic and become a Sabres
Red
fan
Wings
here,
and closet Sabres fan again over here.
No, I like the Sabres. I'm cheering for them this year, as long as it's not at the Lightning's expense.
I'm just giving you a hard time about it.
Sorry,
Joe, what about you? What are you looking for on this homestand?
Well, looking for something a little bit different. I'm looking for some consistency out of the team. There's actually only, if I'm looking correctly, there's only 3 divisional opponents that will pretty much be faced at home for almost like the whole month here. So there are some points that can be given away without them being quite as detrimental. But that's what I don't like about the tendencies of the Lightning, is sometimes they'll go into a little bit of a lackadaisical mood. Too many games from home, might be getting a little too comfortable, and then next thing you know, it's a 2-3 game skid. I want to see them play consistent and keep the tenacity and that willingness to close out games. And as long as they come out of the month with a solid record at home, even where they have 4 away games for the entire month, that's almost nothing. Those are ones that you can give up those points if you make sure you're securing all the stuff that you're doing at home and get that consistency going. And I think that it'll make for November wrapping up to put the team in a good spot for the standings and going into the December with their heads held high and some confidence.
That would be fantastic. I've had a Red Wings fan give me a little bit of crap recently because the Wings were originally ahead of us in the standings. So I want some consistency and get some wins so we can be above them, and I can talk some crap back now that we're back on track. But consistency is a good point. And the Lightning have a great opportunity to do it this month with a lot of home games, and there's only one back-to-back, which is the one that's at the end of the month, and it's the 2 road games. So really good chance for the Lightning to step up here and have a strong little month here. Let's put it that way.
Can build some points and start jumping over teams in the standings. Just can't afford, when you have this many home games, to go into a slide.
Right. Yeah. No. Home games are always big.
Do any of you guys plan on going to any of these games soon?
In about an hour.
Oh, are you?
There you go.
As soon as we wrap heading over.
Nice. I love that. I'm going home. I'm in Orlando, but I'm going home next weekend, and I will definitely be trying to go to a game for sure, especially because it feels like forever since I've been. So I would definitely want to get back in there. Amalie Arena is such a fantastic place to go watch a hockey game. So I will absolutely be trying to go. What about you, Matt? You going?
Going to the Sabres game, baby.
There you go. Awesome. So RBLR will be representing proud there at the upcoming games. Speaking though, now that we're officially a month into it, we haven't played a full month because it starts, late October or mid-October, I should say. But I wanted to get your guys' opinion on how do you feel about the Bolts' overall play so far? Because we always said, when they got off to that tough skid at the beginning, we said it's early. We'll see how things go. We're 10 games into it, technically 1 month. So I want to get your guys' thoughts. How do you feel so far? Joe, I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, month in, feeling good. The big players are producing. Even though Stamkos is on a scoring skid since the victory over the Panthers, he's been +2 on this road trip, including the loss to LA. He's still getting shots on net to win. I'd like to see Nemesnikov get on the score sheet. He's tallied only 3 assists thus far, despite looking really hot in the preseason. I think the biggest concern everyone had over the summer break was what would happen to our defense, permanently losing Ruda and Mack, and then LTIR for Bogo. But that's been one of the biggest surprises with the coming of age story, if you will, over the past 6 games. That's been Nick Perbix. As I was just talking about for this homestand, the Lightning do have a tendency to shut down their play during the regular season, and there will be games that they don't look like they're showing up until the third, or worse, turning it off after a 2-goal lead to blow it in the third. They do this, though, and it'll be fine as long as those habits don't prevent the team from a playoff spot. Being a tenth of the way in, it's still just the start. But I like that we've had depth scoring, even with Corey Perry, previously struggling Killorn, Colton, Paul, Hagel, even Foote has put a goal in. So I think it's a great start for the Bolts, despite where they're at in the standings. And I'm definitely looking forward to more.
I'd say that they started well. Of course, all of our expectations are sky high with this team, given their record over the last 5 years, add in 3 Stanley Cup final appearances, winning 2. Even can go back to the Chicago Stanley Cup final. The expectations are sky high, and I think this year the non-cup hangover is really kind of hitting them right now. Like, they were a little lackadaisical at some points throughout the last couple of years or anything, but again, I'm not at all alarmed quite yet, but like I was saying earlier in the show, I've yet to see a statement win. I've yet to see them completely dominate a team and shut it down for a whole 60 minutes. I haven't seen that yet, and we all know that they have it in them. You had a great point bringing up Nemesnikov. He did look absolutely fantastic in the preseason, and I know he had a couple of reps on the power play 1, and it just hasn't really translated quite yet. I think that he kind of needs to find his groove a little bit, but again, I'm not at all worried. I know that they're better than this. Again, I'm not saying they've been bad at all, but I think we still have yet to see top-notch performances from Andrei Vasilevsky. He's got a lot to give, and just the entire team in general. When they are firing on all 18 cylinders, it's I mean, they're the best team in the league, and which other team should be scared of it. They haven't played to their full potential quite yet. It's coming. It's around the corner, especially given this homestand. I'm going to disagree with you there, Joe, saying that they're going to, or not that they're going to, but they might get a little bit lazy with their play, get a little complacent just being at home. I disagree. I think that they're going to, obviously they're not going to win every single game, but I think that given they're not going to have to be traveling as much, they're just not going to be as worn down or anything, I think we're going to see some much better play in the coming weeks.
I certainly hope that they're going to be playing at their full potential, especially with the crowd behind them here at Amalie Arena. I think this is a big month for them to really get out in front of things like we were just mentioning. So I'm happy with the way things have gone so far, even though we're just one game above 500. I was impressed with the way the team responded, because the start earlier on even was really rough, as we've seen in the past couple of years, but already they're starting to play a little bit better. They're getting back into the swing of things. Technically we still have injuries that we're dealing with right now. I've been really impressed with the defense, and I think they're playing well. I think as the season goes on, they're only going to get better. So I'm happy with what they have done so far. Last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up things here, guys, was I went and checked on the Syracuse Crunch, because I was thinking, how are the guys doing the Crunch? They're 1-6, so they have not had a good start to their season. They're struggling a little bit here with only 1 win. They did have 2 wins in the preseason, but only 1-6 in the regular season. Guys, is it time to worry a little bit about our depth and what we've got down there in the Crunch, or is there no worries here?
Well, one thing that I was looking at with their standings and the game that they've played, they've pretty much lost all those games by a single goal. There's only one game that there's an empty net to put them down by 2, and another one legitimately lost by 2. But you do have ABB, Darren Radish, Jamel Smith, all positive points per game producers right now. And, Walcott, a familiar name for Lightning fans, is got 6 points in 7 games. So they are putting some points up with those guys. So our most important depth guys are still doing pretty well, despite the record. They've been pretty close games. I don't know if you sound the alarm just yet, but maybe some AHL trades might be appropriate too.
My thing is, we took Nick Perbix away from them, and they're just absolutely crumbling. That's the only explainable thing to me.
You know what? You might not be wrong there. That's a good point. It's good to see ABB playing well down there as well again too. It's really weird. He's just success down there in the AHL, and it hasn't translated to the NHL, which is unfortunate. But good to see he's continuing his play down there.
To speak on that, he's got in 7 games played, he has 2 goals and 10 assists. He's been a major playmaker for him.
He's such a good playmaker, and he's done that so many times before. It's just I wish it would translate to the NHL, but he's been good for them. It seems like those top lines are producing still, and it is still early for them as well. This is they played 7 games. They haven't even hit 10 games yet, and it's very early. But I think the Lightning have good pieces. And Matt, you mentioning Nick Perbix, I think is a good. Even though the team is struggling overall, these guys individually are playing well, and the Lightning have a strong team overall, at the NHL level. So as long as these guys are playing well individually, they should be able to fit into, the team when they get called up and play well, which is what we've seen for so many years for the Lightning. So even if the team's not doing great overall, that's not always what you want to see. But as long as these players are performing well individually, that's usually the most important thing. And we are seeing that, as you mentioned, Joe, with some of the individual player stats. But I think that's all we have for today's episode, guys. Anything else we need to mention before we wrap up here?
No, I think we were pretty concise with it.
Yeah, thank you very much for welcoming to the crew, and it's been a blast. We're looking forward to getting through a bunch more of these with you guys.
Absolutely, man. We're excited to have you. We're looking forward to the rest of the episode. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you're still here with us, we really appreciate it. If you guys can do us a favor, be sure to give us a like, give us a follow, give us that 5-star rating, whatever it is on any platform. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. And don't forget to follow us at RBLR Sports on Twitter so you don't miss out on any other podcast or any score updates, anything like that. We have it all there for you. The Bucks, the Rowdies, the Rays, all those podcasts still going on strong, and they do some fantastic work over there as well. So be sure to show them some love as well. But thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Go Bolts.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.